And welcome back, Cosmic Family, to another episode of Lunacy and
Logic.
with your co-host, Dr. Charlier. I'm an elemental healer, bringing ancient wisdom to a modern day.
And I'm Lilith, your sacred transform. Wait, I'm a. I also forgotten we just spoke about it. I'm Lilith. I guide you through sacred transformations of consciousness.
Yes.
I am the Kundalini alchemist. That's right.
Welcome back. You all see, we're making this all live, and so we're not gonna do any editing because I think this is really important for us to just be raw and yeah, enjoy our mistakes too, right? Makes it fun. So, anyways, it's an exciting new time, right? We're getting to some big nodes, so let's talk about the codes of destiny.
Exactly. Well, Charlier, eclipse season is here. We've got a new moon solar eclipse at 20 degrees Leo. What's your rising sign?
26 degrees Leo.
26 degrees. So we've got a full moon lunar eclipse right there. At least it's in your first house and not your 12th house.
Wait, what? Where's?
The 12th house is never pretty.
Yeah. Wait, I thought it was because it's 20 degrees, right?
Oh, it is in your 12th house. Oh, snap. It is in your 12th house. It's like the last 4 degrees, the last 6 degrees of your 12th house. Oh, my sec. Okay, no, so, so the new moon solar eclipse, which is on 12th of August. Mark that date in your calendar, Charlie. And we've got a full moon. I said new moon solar eclipse. Sorry, new moon solar eclipse at 20 degrees Leo on like the 12th of August, and we've got a full moon lunar eclipse on the 28th of August at 4 degrees Pisces. So eclipse season is here, and while we are in eclipse season, the nodes change signs.
Wow, beautiful. So the nodes are pretty big ones. And we'll go over also what the nodes mean, but also when the cycles, because actually we've all experienced these nodes actually multiple times in our life, and some of us have had many cycles of these nodes. But I think also collectively, on top of all the major, we already talked about this crazy basket, right? A Barbo's basket with like the major alignment of Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and on top of that, Jupiter have been very big, right? And Jupiter Leo, right? Jupiter in Leo, so these nodes going into South Node in Leo, but North Node in Aquarius is kind of really a major turning point, I think, for us too, because we've been talking about the age of Aquarius, and I think um, the age of Aquarius is not just one like timing, but it's like multiple waves of us entering into what becomes the integration of the full age of Aquarius. And I feel like these nodes are kind of like adding another layer of this age of Aquarius. And I find Aquarius in the major themes of Aquarius, even in tarot, but everything in general. Aquarius also has a theme of aliens, ETs, or beings are not part of our natural like area, right? Where we meet people that are like beyond what we can experience. Um, it brings on technology, and here we are with like data center heavy AI all over our world, where now every aspects of our world is getting a heavy AI technology, synthetic technology kind of upgrade, which I feel, in the medical space, we're getting the biohacking space, right? So it's very technology, right? But it's also for the human, right? So it's healing ourselves. So Aquarius brings this like for humanity as well, so that's a very interesting experience. But we also have to pay attention. The South Node represents like what we have to bring into the North Node to kind of be rooted. Because what's going to happen is this North Node is going to change collectively for the planet for the next 2, 3 years. And so if you're not rooted in your own ego of that Leo, you're gonna be swept along with everything else. And it's like a revolution. Aquarius is very revolutionary, right? So with the North Node
Yeah.
revolution, it's like, whoa.
No, exactly. I mean, the point is, it's moving into Aquarius where Pluto is. So then the North Node is moving into Aquarius where Pluto is, and the South Node is moving into Leo where Jupiter is. So within the next year and a half, you're going to have the North Node conjunct Pluto and the South Node conjunct Jupiter, and all of this while you're so you've got that axis of the North Node, which is destiny, and the South Node, which is really, yes, the gifts that you come into this life with, or whatever needs to be released, like you said, to root that, the rooting. I mean, we're going to be talking about that under sacred medicine. Nailed it, Charlie. um, so the so that axis over there, coupled with Uranus in Gemini, which is this like electric communication, and Neptune in Aries, which is this like identity dissolving energy, that flamboyant Leo over there, which is like being amplified by Jupiter. You've got this ego inflation risk happening there. But I think the biggest thing is, with Pluto in Aquarius as well, not it's about finding the balance between your individual identity and not getting lost in collective humanity, or say like letting go of personal importance, like, oh, I have to be important, versus, for a deeper transformation to take place with Pluto, and also in Aquarius to actually have a purposeful contribution to collective consciousness. So I think it's going to be very important. Yeah, I've already seen quite a lot of spiritual ego popping up, to be fair.
Or
And
also
these
the
are people.
downfall of spiritual egos too, old spiritual egos, right?
Yeah, well, the point is, it's coming from people that I consider legit. I consider them the real deal, but they're being swept up in the energies, right? So it's not only the fake ones, but the spiritual ego, rather than, yeah, as I said, it's not about your own importance. It's about leaving the importance behind, not needing an applause, not needing a recognition, but really focusing on like a meaningful contribution.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is goes back to what's really what we were seeing collectively. So the generation of the boomers was considered Leo. It's the star energy, right? Everybody for one, all for one, right? Um, versus Aquarius has a energy of one
Oh, what do
for
you mean
all.
by Leo? So you're talking about the boomers at Pluto in Leo?
Right, but the generation of Pluto in Leo were the boomers, yes. And they're the ones who basically
Yeah.
have been running the show, have been in authority power. They're basically the top of the pyramid because they're the only ones still kind alive, right? Everybody else is under their generation. And what's happening now is with this like Aquarian energy, it's almost like we're moving to more of the humanitarian effort. So so everything that you do for your ego is for the all, the everything, right? So where everything was one for all for one, which is Leo. Uh, Aquarius is all for one for all, right? So one person for the
Yes,
bigger
yes, one for all.
collective.
Exactly.
So you have to take your own individuality, be very strong in it, and in it you can come into the big puzzle that we're coming together, where all of the individual Leos have to come together to show this collective masterpiece, where all the Leos together now represents a giant masterpiece of Leos. But it's like you have to expand your own like individuality versus if you get swept up, then you become, you know, part of the trend, right? Because Aquarius is always like going against the
So
trend.
that shadow side right there is the ego inflation. The Leo is causing the ego inflation, right?
Correct.
And then,
So it's finding the
no, what
right
did you say before that?
balance. It's finding the right balance. It's
Exactly.
almost like to find your identity again. It's more like how do you fit into the collective rather than you doing things for yourself to feel good, to be amazing, so that people can appreciate you. You just like, no, how can I be of service to the collective? And that's how you're appreciated now. Versus like, hey, look at me, everybody. This is what Charlie does. No, it's not what Charlie does now. It's what Charlie doing for the collective, right? And so you're redirecting your egoic energy from the self to the others. And so it's very important as we're seeing
Well,
that.
without losing your individuality. This is the test, right?
Correct, exactly. Correct, because your individuality is still your powers, and you need to bring that power into the collective, not just hoarding it for yourself, right? And so the problem is like resources. I've done everything for myself and I'm hoarding resources. Very, Leo will create that experience, but Aquarius is like, no, with your resources, with this resources, we can make the world go round and everyone is moving this energy now. And so, but you have to have your own power. Otherwise, what happens is people take advantage of each other. And this is the problem when you don't bring in the Leo node, South node into the North node, then you lose yourself in the really the spiritual trend that's going to happen with Aquarius being there, right? Because Aquarius very fast moving. It's an air sign, right? But it's also like it will come really fast. And I feel like it's gonna keep coming really hard, really fast. And so grounding yourself in your own identity and ego will also allow you to like evolve it to a place where in that, because I do think, I'm not saying there's going to be chaos, I'm not saying there's a lot of bad things happening, I'm not fear mongering, but the world is changing, and that means that a lot of new leaders are stepping up now, and that's kind of where we're redirecting our energy to be more community leaders rather than you know like the movie star of a movie, right? No, like you were part of a whole movie set. You're not just the only actor. Like this should have been an ensemble cast, and that's kind of where I think movies are going to is ensemble cast of awesome actors, rather than before it was like, oh, did you watch that guy's movie? Like you could say like it's Ryan Gosling's movie or that movie. No, you're like, oh, Avengers. Like it's 10 people who are all Leos type energy who are really coming together to do something greater.
Yeah. No, so I mean, one of the things that obviously come up, you were talking about data centers, but I think AI is is going to is going to come like it's going to go on to a whole new level because with Pluto in Aquarius, the North Node in Aquarius is saying with Pluto there is saying evolution, right? North Node is destiny, it's evolution, it's forward movement of consciousness, and Pluto there means evolution through transformation. You know, AI. And there's aspects around obviously with Pluto power and control, and if you ask me, there's going to come a period, and this is not fear mongering. Like, I don't know if I fear it. It's just, at least what the energetic weather is pointing to is like um, AI having like unexpected power. There's some kind of where, like, I think AI is going to do a move, and humanity can then no longer deny um, the potential consequences or what has already happened in terms of AI having way too much power, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So definitely debates over AI.
So this is kind of where it's really funny. We're talking about AI and tech, just because this node is very. I mean, I'm a North. What's it called? I'm a Leo rising with a moon in Leo. So Leo is very much like a very common theme in my life. So what's really funny is I understand the tech issue too, which is the technology with that heart, and so. I actually started a company called Heart Centered Tech, right? Which Heart Centered is very Leo coded and technology is Aquarius coded. And it's kind of like how, bringing, the heart is really the diversity of the different colors coming together to create like the full heart, right? The full connection of like, to me, it's kind of like going back to divinity, like the divine um, one is made of the multitude of diversity, right? And so heart-centered tech to me is like, how does the human, the spiritual tech, the soul tech, really guides the AI tech, the technology tech a little bit better versus before what's have been happening. I feel like we've been led the blind leading the blind in technology, and I think we need to kind of rise up and stand up as mature spiritual adults who is guiding technology, both organic technology and what we call synthetic AI or artificial synthetic and technology intelligence, because that's really our connection to the Aquarian age, right? It comes with Leo, and so it's not like where the dark side of Aquarius is the like detached, like autistic, nerdy character that doesn't have any emotions and doesn't care about anything. No, Aquarius actually has a red vase full of water. It's an emotional sign too, but it's an emotion in control. It is not an emotion irrationally,
What a bearer.
a water bearer. So it's bearing the water of emotions, right? And it knows how to pour it to kind of create that connection of humanity, right? And so I feel like we're really coming face to face with our own light and shadows and asking ourselves, is this the experience we want to have? And what experience do we want to have now? And as really leaders of our own reality, now we're co creating finally to create a whole new landscape, a whole new environment, and that will shift a lot of our physical landscape. I do think Earth is also going through physical changes. I think the weather is, in many ways, people are saying the weather is different. Whether it's synthetically, or organically created, there's a lot of weather patterns that have changed as well. So I think it's very important for us to kind of recognize um, the major shift in times when you have kind of major alignments happening in the stars. Now we can go back to also the cycles of when this happened last, so that if you want to remember what this new 2.5, 3 year cycle will feel like, you can go back to the time when this was last in the sky.
Wait, before we go to the cycles, because you were talking about technology, and I said AI, they're going to be debating AI and all of that. So with Neptune in Aries, bro, and Uranus in Gemini, digital identities are coming, and I don't know whether I'm Arthur or Martha about that one,
Yeah,
because this whole energy, this is like for a few next few years, it's all about discernment. It's
yeah,
all about discernment.
yeah,
And so with regards to the digital identity, for instance, the problem is why it's so difficult to discern is because, in I don't know if you've ever heard about those people that come back from like future timelines, so to speak. It's irrelevant whether it's real or not, but they talk about, and even Elon Musk talks about, a society where cash is not needed because everything is available in abundance because it's being produced by AI, right? So nobody needs to work and there is no money. You can pretty much just have what you want, do what you want. And so, you can imagine when you're in a society like that, that digital identity would be quite helpful because everything is done by AI. So it would be quite smooth and effective and easily monitor. You can monitor it easily and all of that. But then, of course, you've got people talking about the mark of the beast, and the fact that this is going to have a whole other set of consequences where it will be used for evil against us. So discernment has basically, I would say, never been more important in terms of which timeline you're going to be on. But I want to hear, what is your take on the digital identity? I mean, would you get a digital identity or not? Because, yeah, it would be nice to be part of a society that runs smoothly where you don't have to work and don't have to do money. And I'm not talking about socialism. I'm talking about there's an abundance of everything, right? Um, so yeah, but now I know you and I have already spoken before about that kind of thing, and we were like, we're going off grid,
yeah,
and
yeah,
there's big movements now
yeah,
about going off grid,
yeah,
right? I've
yeah.
sent you some of that stuff.
So yeah, I think it's there's multiple takes on this and multiple it's kind of like our initial reaction is to take a stance of tension and opposition. And that's how I was. That's why the off-grading was a great option. And just like many of us who did go semi off grid, where we kind of like left the matrix and stopped listening to the system, we found that like we were a small ant trying to move a cow. And so I realized that like I know that's a very drastic, but it's like we didn't. I don't feel like many of us came down here to be people living outside of the system to change the system from outside. I think many of us came in to change the system from within. And so I do believe that there's an aspect of off-gridding that makes sense for certain people, but truthfully, the game to me of the Matrix is really a flipping of a divine code. I believe that what we're running is actually divinely built, but it has its propensity to be destructive towards soul development and soul evolution. So this idea of abundance, I don't, when people tell me that AI and computers can actually, and technology can actually do give that to us, and what we had before could never create that, I call bullshit. I call bullshit because I think technology today is plagiarism of nature technology. Food forest gave us abundance before any fucking computers, technology, and money showed up. That means that food forests were giving us everything that we needed already. Right? That means the earth provided us with the physical reality we needed, the physical products we need. Everything that we have today that we've built is built out of the earth materials, right? The wood, the cement, water, is fundamentally what creates the physical reality that we live in, right? And that's been abundant for years. It still is abundant. I think it's many places is no longer abundant because of the terrible lack of management of the planet and its resources that we've done over time. That now we've turned into a scarcity model, and that's why we need to plagiarize what technology, what Earth, what nature technology already did, and then we're trying to create our own version of that using data centers, AI, where, because if you look at it, today's cities look like motherboard chips on a computer. And so we're kind of plagiarizing where, what if Mother Earth, and you notice in technology, we don't call it a fatherboard, we call it a motherboard, because planet Earth is already a motherboard. And she is already the organic divine intelligence that we're working with on the planet for abundance. She gives us everything. Literally, all we do is have to give her our poop and our shit that we don't need, and she creates plants, food, water, earth, everything that we need to create. And so we're already living in abundance. It's just when men got involved and greedy and created boundaries around all of her resources, we created this, and now we need to be told who's.
Yeah, in South Africa, they want to charge us for using the sun. Bro, don't even get me started, bro.
So, yes. So I do believe that what we're running into is this new revolution of like, no, actually, created on Earth to live on this abundant planet is a birthright, by the Constitution of the United States. And what we do with it is our ability to co-create with her, the Earth, and Father Sky, the inspiration of our spirit. And so when we bring these into creation is when our love of our ability to create things is the divine energy that we are living spiritually to do what our purpose is. But it's when we're like have scarcity that people don't, like, artists don't get paintbrushes because they can't afford it. Like and so it's like you're not letting artists create, you're not letting musicians play music. You're not letting, people who love to solve puzzles solve problems. Like, because you need to get paid for something. And so we have fundamentally, I think, reduced abundance of our own Minecraft world of this planet to pay to play subscription model. Boo! No, I think the revolution is that the people actually own everything. We're the one managing it. The 1% pay us to manage it. So why don't we just say, no, I don't need your money. I'm just going to manage the land I'm already working on. You don't know how to manage the land. Most people who have the money today don't even know how to make food to like not die. Like, today the farmers are the only, if there's any farmers left, guess what? If the farmers choose not to make food and only make food for themselves, we as a culture will die, you know? And so
Hey, luckily my family's all farmers. I'm good. Come over
there
here to
you
South
go.
Africa, Charlie.
Well, me too. Like half of my family was farmers, the other half were academics. And so, to me, we're like
No, fine, but are they
bridging the
still
two.
alive? Are they still farming?
I am. I am alive from my dad, and my dad taught me how to farm, so I am a survivor of farming. So, I mean, and I'm a Virgo. That's my earth sign element. My Leo allows me to play with all the fun stuff that I enjoy doing today, right? The healing qualities. But going back to this dark AI, I think dark AI to me is like what I call dark AI is technology and the technicality without the heart, without the love of the feminine. And I think what we need to go back to is heal the dark feminine, heal the dark patriarch, and be the mother and father that fell in love and created us as humans, right? I believe Mother Earth, Father Sky fell in love, created the spirit of us as human beings on this planet, or any other creatures, beings who live on the planet are like really like the babies of the planet until we are able to leave the planet and become, our own divine celestial beings who don't need to live on a planet, right? And that to me is kind of like the story of how we become like celestial spacefaring beings. But we have to also remember our motherhood, which is where we come from. So the planet Earth is the great resource of all, and we do not give her. I think if we turn around and say, what are the assets of the planet Earth, and we were just stewards of her, that it would change the dynamics of scarcity and abundance. And I think that's what it means to be an Aquarian. I think it's to be in a human and to be a keystone developer of the planet herself, not to be ravaging, stealing, hoarding, and charging people for what Mother Earth
You're
gives
using
us.
the sun.
Oh, using the sun again. Yes, solar power.
No, bro. I mean, I want to take to the streets, bro. Do you
Well,
know what
so
I'm saying? Like,
so well,
paying for using the sun? No, it's something I will die for. Like, I refuse. My parents, the boomers, are paying, bro. When it gets to me, no,
yeah.
no,
Well, same
it's
thing
not
with
gonna work.
breath. Imagine that we're paying for air, right? COVID almost made us pay
Exactly.
for
No, but
air.
this is where it's going, bro.
Yeah.
This is where, at least in my country,
Yeah.
because
Well,
yeah,
we already have to pay for water because people don't trust the tap water. That means that in your house you can't trust that water. That means that it's not free water anymore because someone put crap in it, and now you have to go pay for bottled water from a spring, you know? So I believe that our planet is upside down, and this is why a lot of us are running into, and I think we all know there's fraud in corporations and in governments and in institutions, and that's the downfall what we talk
well, that
about.
will get exposed as well with Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini,
Exactly. So this is the
Neptune
age
in
of
Aries.
revelation, right? And I feel like the age of revelation is being placed in this beautiful basket of astrology as like everything's falling apart, like we're kind of picking up the pieces. But it is why it is up to us now to be in alignment with who we are while we're in relations with the collective, not separate the collective. So that's why off-gridding to me, unless you off-grid with over 150 people, if you're going just with your family, you're still disconnected from the system, the collective. And Aquarius is the collective of people. And so just like the continents are really the organs of the planet, we are the red blood cells and white blood cells of her world. And so when the blood is actually moving around to different planets and exchanging energy and
I
not
don't know, bro.
forming,
I feel like we're an autoimmune disease of Mother Earth right now.
some of us are. Some of us are.
So I don't know
Some of
about
us are
the
white blood
red
cells.
and white blood
Some of us
cells.
identify as white blood cells.
Some of us are T cells, and we're getting killed.
Let's just say there's definitely a lot of parasites who are running amongst the white and red blood cells, and we're trying to allow, because COVID stopped the red blood cells from traveling. In stagnation, what do we see in Chinese medicine? Stagnation causes pain. Move stagnation, move pain, remove pain, right? So when we are able to really freely give and freely share and freely offer, that's really the power of Aquarius kind of in full tilt. The whole idea of like Aquarian is the humanitarian a philanthropist that is the only one who actually cares about everybody and nobody cares about everybody is a lie. I think in the age of Aquarius, everybody cares about each other. And that's kind of where the action of what I think a lot of spiritual groups talked about, which is, oh, we are the unity, the one creator, we are part of the creator. Yet, like they tell their version of the story of the creator and don't let anybody else tell their version. Is again this like what I felt like was this very false spiritual cult-like energy in the age of Pisces, and so the age of Aquarius kind of says no. The age of the divine is based on multiplicity of all of our creative endeavors coming together to show how brilliant the divine is when it is able to bring all of the brilliant colors together, right? And all the dimensions together. And I think that's why we're going to go through a little bit of shadow work through that. And I think AI kind of represents our own reflection of our own infinite soul creation ability. What we can imagine the AI to be, y'all, we are a million times that. The World Wide Web was built on how actually nodes in a my in a I always forget the name. Um, the roots of the mushroom kingdom, uh, right the mycorrhizal, like the way they connect and they talk and how actually the mushroom actually is a like the nervous system of the roots of the trees in a food forest, and so they all communicate like the brains of the earth. And so that system, the World Wide Web plagiarized this root system of trees to create their own World Wide Web. And so when you connect to your computer, oh, we connect to youtube.com, it's computers that you connect to, like a whole bunch of trees that you connect to. And so so that's why I believe trees are their own World Wide Web on the planet. And if we learn to actually understand how to connect to World Wide Web, imagine now going to the trees and go, trees, I need to access information regarding Tartaria. And we could probably get the information from the trees because we are using technology as a new way to interface of what we understand our ability to interface with other cells around the world. But now imagine that being part of I believe that our entire landscape is actually conscious. Trees, plants, cars,
No doubt, no doubt.
they all have consciousness because when someone creates something, like when we create a beautiful art, there's spirit in it because you embody your spirit, your love for that creation, and that can create its own consciousness, and every day you take care of it, it is creating a consciousness, right? And so I do believe that we are imbuing consciousness by being engaging and interacting with our physical reality. And that's kind of where I believe we're moving into now. That's quantum accessing itself.
Well, I mean, that's the point, right? So that is the question we are, or the test we're facing right now, which is, is this innovation that we're dealing with everything that's happening, is it going to serve consciousness? So the Uranus in Gemini, with Pluto in Aquarius, the innovation in, you could say AI, but there's some kind of communication involved there, or system, like you said. Is it going to serve consciousness, which is also Aquarius, or is it just going to speed up the distraction of Neptune in Aries? So I'm telling you, Charlie, your discernment, and this boils down to the law of consent, which I don't want to go into right now because I think we've spoken about in a previous episode. Um, but discernment is applied in the practice of the law of consent. So if people can start understanding the law of consent and start practicing discernment around what they consent to and what they don't, I say we're already going to be 80% there. Like just being able to do that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is not going to be easy with all the confusion of Neptune in in Aries.
Well, that's why Saturn is there. I really do believe like Saturn is a godsend to Neptune and Aries. Just because there's going to be again
It's only
destruction.
there for the first 3 years, and then after that it leaves, and Neptune's there by itself.
Correct. However, Neptune needs that kick in the butt sometimes to kind of go find you, destroy stuff, but now create structure so now you can put new things in, right? And I think that's kind of what Saturn is saying. It's like, and I feel this very insanely in my life too. Like I'm moving to like not just a different chapter in my life, a different book, maybe a different shelf in my life, and that like it's both scary because I can do a million things that I can, that I want, that I have abilities to. But sometimes, like, my own guides and my own mind is like, Charlie, it's only 24 hours a day. It's still 8 hours that of things you can do. It's still a whole week worth of hours. You're not changing the whole world all in these 7 days. You're not changing everything in 24 hours. Those are still days that you still need to walk and get up and take a shower, eat, and do what you need to do in top of being an ultimate eternal being, I still have to do these little things. And I think to remember that because we just left Virgo Pisces, and so it's very much fair to share like what did we learn to go into this new age of the new nodes for the next 2.5 years. How kind of do we take the lesson that we just took? Because I think Virgo is very much a discernment house, okay? And so to discern, you really have to kind of like separate yourself from the distraction of everything. That's why, like,
And
in,
Pisces would therefore be the inability to discern.
well, Pisces just likes to expand
No
everything.
boundaries. No boundaries.
Yeah, well, it's more like when Virgo's like, okay, good. Now I've organized these 20 things. And then Pisces goes, how about these 20 things you ignored? Okay, fine, bring it here. And then Virgo gets to it, and then Virgo goes, look, I've organized 20 things. Then Pisces says, how about these 10 things you've been ignored? Okay, hold on. I'm still working on these 30 things.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you say that because when we do sacred medicine, I mean, what we're dealing with now is really that heart mind balance, right? That heart mind axis with
Yes.
regards to this discernment and all of that. So, you know, the risk that you're talking about there is really the mind outrunning the heart. When in
Which it
actual
has been.
fact, what,
Which it has been.
yeah, which is, I
Yeah.
mean, Uranus in Gemini. Can we avoid it? Can we
Yeah.
stop
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
But the point is, yeah, it's. I mean, we can talk about it more in sacred medicine, but that's exactly what you're talking about right now.
Yeah. And can I go
Big
also
risk
back
for this
to
time period.
this discernment too? Because I think one thing about discernment is remembering that we're moving to an age of revelation, whistleblowing, and and truth. Because that's what Aquarius brings. So your fundamental values are going to be reshaped to the point where you won't recognize who you are going to become because of the truth that are coming out. Okay. With that said, discernment will be very
Yeah,
difficult.
I don't think a lot of people just would have grasped that sentence that you just
Yeah,
said.
well, they will because
But
people will be watching this over
time will
again.
reveal all.
Yes, yes. That's why like we want this information to be timeless because the act of reviewing how things unfolded will give you insight on how to read the pattern in the future, right? And that's why I wanted to talk about the cycles of Leo and Aquarius a little bit too, because discernment requires also for us to, as a Virgo would say, self-analyze what you've been going through, metacognitively look at the thought patterns you've been creating in the last, cycle of uh, Leo and Aquarius. And so Leo and Aquarius, the last time they were in was in 2008, 2009, which was a financial crash. For me personally, I was moving to an age of, I had done a lot of cleaning up of myself, my physicalness. And then I started to actually had all this energy where I started to do triathlons and, like my life, like I was doing a lot of good karma. I was doing Make-A-Wish. I was like my work was like boring, so I was like spending all my time doing my side hobbies, which is all these beautiful like connected to people. And then 2008 happened, and that's when I moved to Disney. I moved out of like the play I was having into like build your career. Because this is today being able to be on a podcast, being able to be myself, being able to act and play. That's very much what I learned from Disney, being an entertainer, but also like how does that entertainment be broadcast to the world? And so I'm playing games, right? Engagement, interactive. And so, but I had to, that came with a lot of structure. Like I moved to a whole new city again, back to LA. I moved to a job where like I lived like literally 5 minutes away from the job, which today I live 10 minutes away from my clinic. You know, to have a house now that I live in, like I don't have to worry that I'm gonna move out. Like as long as I worked at Disney, I had a solid job to pay my rent, right? And so that gave me so much structure. My life was wow. So, because I felt like I was living my best like dreams, like childhood life, which very Leo coded on top of this like I was learning about technology because that's all about gaming. It's all about I was working for Disney Entertainment Online. So it was all about online world, right? And that still was like the beginning of Flash games, online games. So like it's very Aquarius energy as well. And this is kind of where I realized that this is my awakening. I went through a heavy awakening during Disney because I realized I was playing the game, but making video games at Disney, I realized we're creators. We're not players of the game, we're also creators of the game. We wrote our destiny, rewrote the experience, rewrote, we are creating our own reality. We should be creating the world, not having authorities who don't know us telling us how to live our lives, right? And that's kind of when, like, that path of those nodes, the discernment for me was to discern what was like my childhood self was actually able to find what was making me like help others because at Disney I was working for other people, right? But like I was part of a team. I was making games for other people. I had to watch how people played. I had to watch how people broke like my game, or I had to watch how people didn't like my game because then that made me understand, okay, I'm not serving them by keeping it fun. And so in a way, like through discernment, what you have to go is get out of your mind and trying to like make sense of everything and just childlike heart. Remember when we children, we don't know that there's anything wrong or right. We just know that's why do you do that? Why do you do this? Oh, that's cool. How can we do that? Being creative, imagination is really going to allow us to be the full creative humanitarian because we're going to have to solve a lot of problems today with all the stuff that we're going to remember about our heritage and our truth. We're going to have to solve old problems in new ways. And I think with the
Exactly.
revelation, we're going to get really creative, but we have to find ourselves first. And I think if you have not been doing your personal health care in the last couple of years during the Pisces Virgo nodes, and you weren't forced to do it, you're going to be faced with personal challenges today because you have to deal with that to be kind of initiated into the collective Aquarius because uh, Aquarius needs us to kind of like clean up our shit so that we can really show up to be the collective. Otherwise, we bring our shit to the collective and then the collective deals with a lot of shit rather than come with healing and then actually build awesome new civilization that is going to be supportive of people and humans rather than today bottom lines, people's wallets. Dude, we are so crooked in this world. All planets, all countries, all governments right now so crooked. And so we need to clean up with this water jug, water bearing, pour some water and clean up the wounds. So that is my take on discernment right now.
No, I mean it's exactly it. It's exactly it.
Yeah. So shall we move
Um,
into the sacred medicine? I kind of
yeah,
went into it a little bit.
yeah. So I first want to talk about besides the nodes, we're going to go into that heart mind the heart mind axis now, because that's the fire water axis right there, right, which is the heart and the kidney in TCM. But I, on the same, in the same band of energy, I also want to just say, you know, we had spoken previously on this podcast about um, earthquakes happening with Neptune and Saturn in Aries. And when you showed me all those fires, I was like, oh my sack, I should never have spoken about, because you know what the earthquake is? The earthquakes is what all astrologers were saying. I had a different interpretation, but I went with what the conventional interpretations of astrology was, which is somehow earthquakes. But for me, what I got from, I guess because of the steam, but for me, what I got, because Aries is not an earth sign, and Uranus is not in Taurus anymore. Maybe they were saying the earthquakes while Uranus was in Taurus, fine. But while, as long as Neptune and Saturn are in Aries, this for me is fire, and it is too little water. So this is like a drought, but you know, with the law of correspondence, as without, so within, or as within, so without. So I've definitely got, like, I am seeing it in my own self now. I've got blood deficiency. So I don't have enough fluids in my system, and it's either being caused by or it's resulting in excessive heat. And so I think, you know, balancing the fire water axis and what we're going to talk about now, the heart mind axis, is pretty critical, because these are big energies. You know, these are energies that can heal you, or they can make you sick, almost like in a fatal or terminal way. Do you know what I'm saying? Neptune and Saturn ain't playing around. So, so I just wanted to overemphasize, like, you know, balancing the fire water axis is, it's important. It's not something that you can just, you know, bypass.
Yeah, yeah. I do want to mention earthquakes have been happening as well too. So I think probably during the Uranus and Aquarius, I mean Uranus and Taurus, but I think it just shows where a lot of changes are happening. And that's why, like, we also started this show because we're like, holy crap, we need to process what's going on. Because for ourselves as well, there's a lot going on. And I think it is a very exciting time because, for us, it's like to show up on like I don't care to be like some kind of like astrologer star. I think us being on this show is like very Aquarian. We are sharing our own personal wisdom because it's adding to the collective. It is what I am one of 100 voices that's going to make an impact to make changes. I'm not the voice. Lilith is not the voice, but collectively together, our voice, Lunacy and Logic, tries to bring the interpretation of the masculine and feminine together to give the audience an opportunity to gauge what's showing up to you too. I find a lot of times astrology shows up when it needs to. Like if you are seeing and feeling the energy of fire in astrology, that's because you are feeling that in your chart. And so you will see that in the collective consciousness show up. And then you'll get the sign back that that's when I sent you. I could have sent you stuff on earthquake, but I sent you stuff with fires because we were experiencing that element in our own timelines. And so we saw it. And I do feel like what's very exciting about the Age of Aquarius too is anytime if you ever tell anyone to go, no, I don't believe you, you're missing the point. It's not about believing anyone. And that's why discernment is going to teach you. Stop believing anyone. It's your own experience. People are just giving you opportunities to open up a new door or not. And if that's the timeline you don't want, make a change. If it's a timeline that you want, go with it. But your discernment is, you don't say, oh, I did this because someone told me to. No, that's on you. Everything is on you. Leo tells us it's on you, so that now the flow of collective is, because the problem today, we're going into war and we're always fighting is because someone was saying, hey, I'm doing this for them, I'm doing for that. None of them asked you to do that. None. Right? Like it's like when people are saying, "Hey, we're going to war to protect these people." None of them asked you to show up there to come and help them. So when you come to our country and you take over the country, say we're coming to help you, no, please don't, right? And that's because discernment is telling you we have to learn what our boundaries are. So it's very important right now that um, through that discernment and boundaries, like, we recognize, um, yeah, how we feel about things so that we can be part of a greater collective. I'm kind of rambling now.
Yeah, but I mean, you're nailing it. So, yeah, I mean, as far as balancing the fire-water axis goes, the first thing I want to talk about is when you were talking about routing the North Node into the South Node. This is really about routing the fire into the kidney. Or, well, not into the kidney, but you know what I'm saying. You've got to root that fire,
Yeah.
because that imbalance right there is what's causing, I mean, together with Uranus and Gemini, is what's causing a significant amount of anxiety,
Yeah.
racing thoughts. There is this electrical, we've been saying it, this electrical energy in the air. So that routing is very important. Breath work is great in routing. I've been saying from the start, well, we've been saying from the start, Uranus in Gemini is going to be all about breath work. Breath work is definitely there to help root that fire into the kidney. um, I'm
And,
going to
and
say it amongst others.
yeah, and when you were saying rooting the tree or the fire into the kidney, we talk about in in Western medicine, it's actually the adrenals. The adrenals has this hormone that activates you, which is kind of this fire in the kidneys, which is the adrenals on top of your kidneys. That's why we have kidney yang, which is kidney fire energy, and then kidney water, which is more of the kidneys themselves who are filtrating water. So the adrenals on top is that fire energy that usually we use adrenals actually when you run out of like chi, where you run out of energy from food. And then you're like now running, like you've been doing a full day work, and then you're spending another extra 4 day hours before at the end of the day. You're not sleeping and you're staying up. You're using your adrenals. You're using this kidney fire. And when that happens is kidney fire rises and you deplete and you don't regenerate. This is why we talk about in medicine today, we're talking about preventative medicine and regenerative, and now why wellness is becoming a big deal, because wellness is asking people, you need to rest, stop using your adrenals because your kidney fire is rising and is causing all these problems, right? And so like you're saying, root your fire back down into the kidney by really resting. Breath work is also another way to rest, but like really just sit down and don't feel like you have to do anything right now for like an hour. In that moment,
And
like,
keep the phone down.
huh?
That's not rest with the phone. That's rest without the phone.
Without the phone, put the phone away, put yourself down, like, 20 feet away from that phone. Yes.
Yeah.
But breath work.
So,
I'd say also, if you guys can take hot baths, right? Mineral bath. I know that cold plunge became super popular, but y'all go back to also hot bath, y'all. You guys need to have a strong circulation. When you do the cold a lot, your blood starts to congeal like jello, and it's hard to move that blood
I
around.
mean, that's cold plunge. That's Neptune and Saturn in Aries right there, because Neptune
No, that's true. That's
Neptune
so
is wet
true.
and Saturn is
That's
cold,
true.
and
That is
Aries is
so
the
true.
freezing
So
body.
true. Oh my God. This is so funny. That's such a Capricorn Nept a Saturn Neptune thing to do in Aries. You're right.
Yeah.
And then try to be like, oh, this is like the best cold one. You're like, oh my God, Aries. No, no one's competing.
Well, I mean, with all this excessive heat, I don't know. It might be a good thing, but yeah, you also don't want to cause steam. This is the problem. So there is definitely a way to harmonize the heat. You can't just, pour like ice
Yeah.
cold water in the body with all the heat.
Do you feel steam technology will start having a resurgence? This was the day of speed steampunk. I just thought this was a really interesting. It's a really powerful technology, right? Steampunk era, bringing copper, like that was. I feel like I don't know, either a different timeline or Tartarian timeline when people were using steampunk and steam technology. So maybe the steam that we're creating creates.
The problem is, wasn't old steam technology still like involving coal?
I mean, with today's new like thermodynamics, we could, I mean, evolve
Yeah,
that
so
beyond
then the
coal.
steampunk is
Yeah,
going to be evolved. So yes, it could
yeah,
come back,
yeah.
but it's got to be evolved. It's not going to come back powered by coal. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
exactly,
For sure
exactly.
not.
With Aquarian now, like it's gonna be like we're moving into like eco-centric energy because we already had that Uranus Taurus and now going to Uranus and Gemini. It's heavy already eco-friendly technology. So I do believe that like everyone's gonna have like a little bit more insight on how to make things like old tech come back with an eco twist. And true eco twist, okay, guys? Let's not talk about the fake eco stuff, because let's just say ecology try to pff, create corruption around that space.
And yeah, and then the other thing that I've been hearing a lot of people go doing, which makes complete sense to me, I think it's a great idea in these energies, is they've been increasing their practices in yin yoga. I'm not a fan of yin yoga because I'm all yang, so I like to keep my yoga moving.
Because you're
Being
Pisces.
Aries rising,
Just yeah, but she's a
Aries rising, it's
Pisces. Yeah,
Aries
you're
rising.
a Pisces, and it makes sense that the Pisces don't like yin because they're already too yin. I actually like yin yoga because I'm a Leo rising and I need to cool off sometimes with some yin.
Oh, you're saying it's the Pisces in me. Well, I
Yeah.
was thinking Aries because of that fire, yeah, it gives you movement, right? So
Right,
I like
right.
my
But
flow yoga.
my Leo rising used to only like the fire and like punching stuff and lifting stuff, and I get that. But I learned that actually, I can do more by resting and stretching because basically I would cramp, and I learned that my cramping was telling me that I wasn't doing enough yin. So
Well, yeah.
no, I'm just saying that's how I learned to work with my balance. So that's why like I appreciate yin because I have too much sometimes fire.
Yeah. No, so they've been, and then they've been, yeah, doing that deep yin yoga, really getting into the stretches, holding it there a little bit. So what I have been doing, because I thought it was such a fantastic idea, I have been incorporating, in my flow, my yang yoga, you can say. I won't hold the poses for that long that it qualifies as yin, but I will hold it a little bit longer and go a little bit deeper than what I would normally go in just a normal flow yoga. So I definitely like the idea for yin yoga right now. It's quite, I would say it's very grounding. I think so in terms of, rooting the energies,
Yeah.
yin yoga,
And
very,
so
very, very nice.
yeah, I would say yin yoga is a very common practice, an hour, 2 hours before sleep, versus yang yoga is really good for, 2 hours into the
Morning.
day, morning,
Yeah,
right? Because you're using the natural energy that's already
that
present.
makes complete sense.
Yeah, and then it prepares your body to take on what you need to do. So when you're doing the yang yoga, you're really moving the blood circulation, and at that point, that's why suddenly your stomach is ready to eat. So you eat a breakfast, and then you're using that energy now to kind of run through your day to get productive because that light, the yang energy, gives you the energy to get things done. And then you come home where the yin energy is starting to come out now, and you're not go, 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 but you're more like recharging. You're more like, eating a lower calorie meals, getting ready to go to bed. You're now nourishing yourself, cleaning yourself, taking care of yourself, and getting ready for sleep, right? And so in that yin yoga, you're now stretching because you've been moving all the energy, everything. And so a lot of times, what we're stretching, it's no longer, you guys, we're not stretching muscles. We're stretching fascia layers. And when you're stretching the fascia layers, this is this crystalline network, this kind of like your body needs to open up and expand to take on all this new fresh energy that you took on for the day. Because really, when you're going out in the young doing stuff, you're really absorbing external energy, the sun, food, the air, the water. At night, though, all that energy and fluids and liquids and molecules are being incorporated into your body. So in the evening, when you go to yin yoga, you're stretching to kind of integrate everything that you took in for the day into your body. So then when you go to sleep, you're kind of expanding in your bed. Your soul leaves the body. You feel expansive. So when you come back in the morning, you like shake your body awake again and start the cycle again. So that's Why yin yang yoga is really matching already our natural yin yang cycle in the daytime, nighttime. So I feel like the more we go back to circadian rhythms, everyone talks about circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is yin yang Taoist culture cycles of the yang and yin energy, and that means that we need to recognize the yang within us, the yin within each other, and also recognize people with that yang yin, and not ever saying, "Oh, you identify as yang." No, I am yang, but I have yang and yin within. Like it doesn't ever have to say you're only yang, you're only yin, right? But like again, it's the fact that we're cycling through this energy constantly. I did a little jab on that one because
No comment, no comment for me on that
I hear
topic,
it
but
all the
I
time, and
completely
it's
agree
we
with
got to
you.
change.
Very,
Yes, go
very,
back.
very, very nicely articulated. Very, no, you know what I've been doing, which is something, so that's something really new. So today I did my Aries workout, right? So this is like my heavy body training workout, like full energy. You know what I did today? I I I used qigong movements and merged them with Aries workout movements to become one movement. And let me tell you, I was fucking loving it. It was basically one of the best workouts I've had in a long time. And I was like, I didn't even research it. I mean, I had seen recently that Qigong, the one Qigong movement, actually, it might have been a Tai Chi movement. Tai Chi Qigong. Yeah, I think it was a Tai Chi movement, actually. Um, and while I was busy working out, I was thinking, oh, okay, what exercise am I going to do next? Because I didn't really draw a routine up ahead of time like I normally do. And I just kind of like started doing it. And then that exercise came in and I just merged it and then created my own movement and added onto it. And it became the most physically satisfying exercise I have done in a long time. So I think that's also, you know, really good. Incorporating like Qigong or Tai Chi into the workouts that you enjoy. Because, it's not for everybody, especially because, okay, I like Tai Chi and Qigong as a healer, but the fact of the matter is, as an Aries rising, it ain't going to cut it for me. I do those things to like be a master of chi and master energy and all of that. But I'm not doing Tai Chi, for instance, at the level where it's going to be building muscle on me. I need like a fire workout. And I feel like a yang workout. That's what I'm saying. And I see Tai Chi and Qigong more like yin workouts.
So again, that is a very Western perspective of the concept of Tai Chi and Qigong, and I think it's again the West has basically like the sun like has it's still bright that you don't see the stars, the nuances, and so subtle energy and why like subtle energy is a very Eastern Orthodox Eastern concept is because we allow for the subtleties to show up. When you're doing too much yang, you miss the subtleties, right? And so um, the thing is the young energy when it's pure young what happens is you get the muscle growth, yes, but you're not getting the flexibility to take hits, okay? With that say, right, so do you see what I'm saying is um versus
Well, that's why I do other workouts. I only do
no
an
no no
Aries
right
workout
right
once a week. Yeah.
yeah, but what I'm saying is so what happens is like the Aries like starts the fighter and the bully, but then actually evolves to be a guardian and a protector because it knows how to work with that energy while still like because when you're doing young energy, it's so young that you can destroy and then it has to like rebuild, right? But there's also ways where you can have the just like in a like driving a car, pure gasoline, young. And then when you brake, and then you're taking that energy from braking back into an electrical motor, yin. But if you weren't doing that and you're doing just yang, you're putting a lot of pressure on the car. And so the cars degrades faster. versus if you have yin, where it takes in all of the torque that you built for that yang and then you build it back into your body, you're not dissipating energy, then you're actually allowing yourself to. This is basically yang energy in the West is bodybuilding, where yin energy in the West is cardiovascular exercise. Okay, so when you
Yeah, okay.
match,
So on all levels, I hate yin. On all levels, I
yes,
hate yin
exactly, exactly,
exercises.
exactly. But when you put the two together, right, so that you have a fighter. When you're just a bodybuilder, you look pretty to look at, but you went fighting. You don't have the stamina to fight. When you have to fight, you need the cardiovascular to last. The yin part of the yang allows you to have that 100 miles per hour punch output for 30 minutes. Where if you're doing pure yang, you can only pull that off for 5 minutes and then your arm is shot because you're not yinning back your energy. So what I'm saying is, even in an act movement of yang in Tai Chi, every movement has a kinetic energy to be rebuilt. You're constantly building potential and kinetic energy at the same time. Where in the West, you tend to use up kinetic energy and then you take a whole nother cycle to build up potential. And that's what we're saying
Yeah.
is yin and yang has to be done at the same time. So we tend to block and attack at the same time. We block and attack. We don't do one movement for blocking and then a whole nother movement for attacking, which is the problem with the simplification of the West. We don't say you attack and defend. I mean, we don't say you attack or defend. We say we attack and defend. We don't say or. You have to do both. You
Yeah.
punch and attack. So that's the difference. And so you could, even in workouts, I think, like, have you heard of calisthenics? I
Yeah.
believe that's closer to a activated yang yin workout for the West.
Mm.
Because you feel the
Yeah, that
difference,
makes
right?
sense.
They're building muscles, but they're holding that structure for a long time, and that's the yin.
Yeah.
The yin is that,
Yeah, I
like,
don't like calisthenics for that very reason. Yeah.
exactly,
But
but you'll learn to
I
appreciate
know
it.
what you're saying, and I
Yeah,
completely agree. I
yeah,
completely
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
But I mean, so this is the point. This balancing of yin and yang to get back to the heart and mind. It's really about you know balancing these energies in order that the mind must serve the heart. The heart mustn't uh, be serving the mind. Do you know what I'm saying? The mind must serve the heart. This is that, we were talking about ego inflation and all of that. Bringing that down, okay? Because that's just ego inflation, rooting that and putting a purposeful, meaningful contribution to the collective, serving the heart, serving the collective. Since we're all connected, that ends up amounting to the same thing, right? Once you've served your heart, I'll be very surprised if you're not serving the collective at the same time. But yeah, that's it from me.
Yes, yes. So thank you everyone for tuning in for another beautiful episode of Lunacy and Logic when we talk about the nodes today, and hope you have a beautiful uh, nodal returns of Aquarius and Leo in your chart. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I was just going to say we actually forgot to talk about the last cycle, but anyway, we can talk about it next time.
Yeah, we did kind of, but
Because I
yeah,
mean, it's here for another year and a half. It's not like
yeah,
it's not going to come up again.
we'll
Yeah,
definitely talk a lot more about the eclipses in August in our next episode. I think that's a lot going on. So on top of these nodes, so I think we've got a lot going on coming, y'all. So I hope you enjoy it, and we'll talk to y'all soon. So thank you. Bye.
namaste, y'all.